Bum-ba-da-dum. Howdy, welcome to BanjoBenClark.com. I am Banjo Ben, your host here on the site where you can learn how to play banjo, mandolin, and guitar. We're doing some great Christmas tunes this year once again. I've gotten a lot of Christmas tunes on the site now because I've been doing Christmas tunes around the holiday season now for many, many years. So you want to be sure and go check that out. But today we're doing a version of Away in the Manger in the key of D that I think anybody can tackle. Even if you're just starting banjo, I'm going to break it down for you in a way that you can do that. So sitting around Christmas morning or maybe before with the family, you need a song to play on the banjo that gets everybody in the Christmas spirit, and it's even in a single bowl key. You can play them this Away in a Manger. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, here in a moment I'll ask you to come over to the best site in the season, BanjoBenClark.com. You can join as a Gold Pick member, have access to all kinds of great music, including that Christmas music for all three instruments. I'd love to have you over there. But let's give a little attention to this Away in the Manger on banjo. Now there's a couple things I need to point out. One is we're in the key of D, which is a good key to sing it in, like I mentioned. Away in a manger, no crib for a bed. So that's a typical key to sing it in, but we're not going to do anything different on our banjo tuning. We're going to keep it in the standard G tuning. We're actually going to use that fifth string to our advantage, even though we're in the key of D. So we're going to play it a couple times through. The first time is more kind of a strum chordal chord melody version, you might call it, and then we'll go into arpeggiated rolls for the second solo and just present the melody in a little bit different way. Let's go ahead and throw up the tab there. I want you to see what's going on, and you'll notice a couple things. One is those boxes around some of the notes. What is that? Well, that's simply the melody notes. I wanted you to be able to see where the melody notes were, where they are, and then you'll also see that we have the lyrics down there to help keep you on track of where you're playing, as well as those little numbers and letters in the circles. Those are our pick hand fingerings. So T stands for thumb, one would be index, and two would be middle. But here's the deal. It's going so slow, I could almost play this whole thing with my thumb. Okay, so just use your own discretion there. If I'm playing it one way and you like to play it another, I give you permission to continue on. All right, so we just got a two-measure intro here. And, you know, this whole arrangement's based off of just a few chord shapes. Of course, we have this D chord. Can you make that? It's second fret here, third fret here, and fourth fret here. And I'm going to use those for index, middle, and pinky. That's the chord that we're going to use a lot of times. And we're going to start off this intro by playing through that. And look what I do. I'm going to bar my index finger back on the second fret so that I grab that second fret at the end of that first measure there. So all I'm doing is lifting my pinky to play that entire first measure. And then I want you to jump up with your pinky to the 7th fret. And that's the first syllable of that solo. Away. Now you're going to play that with your pinky first, but then I want you to, in between there, jump up and bar with your index finger that 7th fret. And we're going to strum through that. We're going to brush through it. You see that little B with the arrow that's pointing up? That's a brush. We only want to brush through 4 of those strings. We don't want to play that G string because that one's not in the D chord there. So we want to start on our low D string. And our melody is up there on the top. That's why it has that box around it. That means our strum needs to be full through that note so that we can hear it, okay? Now leave that down, and you're going to get the next two melody notes with your middle finger here by lifting. So that measure 5, it looks like this. Then you're going to jump back down from Manger, back to this D position. And again, I'm just going to release my pinky and have that barred behind it to get that ger of Manger. Then we'll go completely open. Then walk down, crib for and then I'm going to brush even down here, measure 8. Even though you could pinch that if you want. Okay, so this whole first line, we'll do it much slower later on, but it sounds like this. Now the only thing you're going to change next is I want you to bar across the 2nd fret. Go ahead and grab all of them if you want. We're only going to play the 4th and 3rd string for lit. And be careful whenever you bar. What I just noticed myself doing is pulling those strings and pulling them out of tune. That's easy to do, especially if you're playing light gauge strings. So you want to press just straight down, but only as hard as you need to. And then I'm going to get that toll of little with my pinky there on that 4th fret. You could also do it with the open B string and then come back down for measure 10 and bar. That might be a better way, actually. And then on down. So this is all stuff that we've seen before, because when we jump back up for the stars in the sky, that's all repeat. Until we get to sky, and we're going to play a D7 chord, but maybe not a D7 chord like you've played it before. A D7 chord just has a C note built into it. It's right here. Okay, so a lot of you know D7 like that. Well, we're going to take the C note here, and we're going to instead play it up here on the 5th fret. Same note, just getting it 2 different places, and then we're going to take our D chord here and somehow figure out how to play that 5th fret. Well, we're going to have to refinger. So we have 5, 3, 4. There it is. So again, you see how my fingers are laid out there. So I'm going to strum through that on sky, and then I'm going to use my pinky to grab that 5th fret of the 2nd string. So slowly, this line. That might take some practice at measure 14, 15. Now here's the interesting thing for little, for lit of little. Our melody note's up here, a G note, but it's got an E minor underneath it. So I was like, how am I going to get that? I could do like an E minor, but that's a big old hard stretch. So instead, look what I'm going to do. Excuse me. You notice how the melody note moves from being on top to being on the bottom there in measure 17. Well, it's still going to be on top, and I want you to see why. Our melody note is actually this G note up here. And the way that I'm going to get it is play my E minor chord, and instead of starting with it, because if you do that, you really lose the melody note because you hear the melody note first and not last in the brush. I'm going to brush backwards. I'm going to do it with my index finger. That way I get that melody note, the very last thing of the very last note of the brush that they hear. Pretty cool, huh? Measure 18, I kind of slide up to that 5th fret just to get there. And then we finish that first solo. Let's try it again. This line. Minor position. Cool. And then we've got a little turnaround here before we go into the 2nd solo. But what I want to do next with you is play all the way through this chord melody solo very slowly. Make sure we got it down, and then we'll move ahead to the next one. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, now's a good time to come over to the website, because you can have this whole lesson and all of the resources. I got MP3s for you. I've got the tabs exactly as I played it, as well as a full video lesson, and many, many more. Let's keep going.